a crystal ball. The only way I know how to find out if something's going on is to ask. I asked the gentleman to stand up. He complied with that. Then I asked him to tell me his name. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what his name is. He refused to tell me his name. So I excused him from the courtroom, and I could see him back at the back of the courtroom. He was trying to get back in, and he was gesturing. There were menacing gestures towards the court, so that I evicted him from the courthouse.
This case revolves around the state agents forcing free people of the country to give identification.
Sure.
So that's to the heart of the matter in this case.
I control the courtroom, and if I have someone that, when I ask them their name, that simply sets them off to be confrontational and agitating, and it looks like to me that they wanted to fight. That concerns me, and I see absolutely no prejudice to the defendant from hearing that word whatsoever.
Honorable Mayor, we've prepared a solid defense for the Avatar. We did an investigation and found some very strong evidence.
Evidence? That's not how our court system works.
Then how can I prove my innocence?
Simple. I say what happened, and then you say what happened, and then I decide who's right. That's why we call it justice, because it's just us.
The following took place in Superior Court of Rockingham County, North Carolina, on January 24, 2022. Judge Stuart Albright presiding. This complete hearing can be found in Part 11 of the Rockingham County series. The link is in the description below. Also in the description is a link to the clip of Judge Albright kicking a man out of the courthouse earlier that day for not identifying himself. When court reconvened after the lunch break, the judge held his own mini-hearing about the incident, perhaps in an attempt to cover his behind, and even called and questioned his own surprise witness to testify on his own behalf.
All right. We have Detective Doom, Officer Doom, Sergeant Doom, Sergeant Captain. Sergeant, I'm sorry. If I could please, if you'll hold the Bible in your left hand, there should be one over there. If you'll hold the Bible in your left hand, raise your right hand, I'm sworn to give the court truthful answers.
You solemnly swear the information you shall give to the court shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help God?
Yes. All right, Sergeant, if you'll just state your name for the record, please.
Sergeant Doom.
All right, Sergeant Doom, could you, are you familiar with Mr. Michael Nelson being in court before, the defendant in this case?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is a DWI appeal. Excuse me, it's not a DWI appeal. It's a misdemeanor appeal. Resisting obstructing delay in charge, resisting public officer. Could you please tell us about any security issues you've had during the course of this case?
Listen very carefully to what Doom actually says, and then listen to how the judge spins it and restates it.
Since it's been in district court up to today's date, I'm not saying just about the previous trial. This is certainly a de novo hearing. However, can you tell me about any security issues that you need to tell me about? We're here on the record.
Yes, sir. On October 6th, with his very first court appearance.
October 6th of 2021. 2020. I'm sorry, okay?
There were several people that were here protesting his case.
They were here on behalf
They were just here on behalf of
just support Mr. Nelson.
Yes, to
support.
Objection, speculation.
That's all right. Mr. Nelson, I'm not finding that you had anything to do with them being here. I'm not finding that you asked them to be here. I'm just asking the sheriff to tell me what he believes are security issues that I need to know about. Go ahead.
Well, I believe he's speculating, Judge. He has no idea why these people did what they did.
All right. What were they here for, Sheriff? What were they doing?
They were here to protest.
What were they protesting?
His court date.
You mean this?
Yeah, the fact that we were not allowing him to have his recording devices in the courthouse.
Okay. So they were upset that Mr. Nelson was being prosecuted?
Yes.
All right. So what else happened during the course of that?
Throughout the day, the people involved were belligerent, started making threats.
What kind of threats?
The ones here didn't really make any threats, but this was a worldwide deal. And some threats came in through the sheriff's office that some notice would be shot later that day.
As a result of the hearing involving Mr. Nelson?
Well, the fact that he did not go into the courthouse for the hearing because he did not want we would not allow him to have his electronic devices in here, so he was placed under arrest for failure to appear, issued by Judge Grover.
All right. I'm glad no one make good on the threats.
I do too.
All right. Anything else in connection with Mr. Nelson's case that you think I need to know about that relates to courtroom security?
Just that, anybody comes in needs to be identified.
Well, tell me about, did you notice anything this morning?
This morning, there was a gentleman that was, in fact, involved in that protest that day, came in this morning.
So you came back on October 6th of 2020? Did you recognize that person when he came in from October 6th of 2020?
Yes.
Did you catch that? Doom said there were no threats from the people who were physically present at the courthouse on October 6th of 2020. He then said that he recognized the man that the judge kicked out before the break as one who was physically present back on October 6th. So in his own testimony, Doom confirmed that the man whose rights were trampled by Judge Albright that morning was not a threat.
All right. What did you see him in here doing?
He came in, he sat down, and as you were speaking with Mr. Nelson, he would shake his head, throw his hands about as if he did not agree with what you were telling Mr. Nelson.
All right. And at some point you relayed that same information to me at the bench, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Nelson, I don't believe you were in the courtroom at the time, but I asked the gentleman simply to stand up as I would in any case when it's brought to my attention that there could be a courthouse security issue. I don't have a crystal ball. The only way I know how to find out if something's going on is to ask. I asked the gentleman to stand up. He complied with that, and I asked him to tell me his name. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what his name is. He refused to tell me his name. I don't find as a fact that he was here on your behalf. I don't know that to be a fact. But I know that he was belligerent, he was aggressive with me, and very confrontational. So I excused him from the courtroom, and I could see him back at the back of the courtroom. He was trying to get back in, and he was gesturing. There were menacing gestures towards the court so that I evicted him from the courthouse. I do not know if he was with you or not, but I wanted to let both parties know that that was done. As a result of that, it's rare that that's ever happened in any courtrooms I've been in. It is concerning to the court, as it should be. I don't want someone here trying to do anything to the state or to you, Mr. Nelson. I don't know if he was here to hurt you or what. I don't know why he was here. But I asked him to leave and ordered him to leave, and he's gone. As a result of other issues that Sergeant Dooms just related to me, because I don't want people coming in on either side, hurting either party at either table here. I've ordered the sheriff, as I'm allowed to do, to control courtroom proceedings, to have anyone that comes into court identify themselves if the sheriff doesn't already know, and tell me the purpose for which they're being here. This is an open courtroom. Anybody's allowed to be here, but I'm restricting the courtroom access to those folks that can be identified and give you a reason why they're here. A reason simply to watch is a valid reason to be here. The reason's not in and of itself going to be dispositive of letting somebody in or out.
So what I'm hearing the judge say is that, for the record, it's an open court and anybody's allowed to be in there, but only the people the judge allows, and not the ones that want to maintain any rights. The judge has restricted courtroom access to only those who allow him to trample their supposed constitutionally protected rights to be secure in their persons, papers, or effect.
A lot of times I have people coming into the courtroom that simply found the wrong courtroom. There's more than one courtroom here in Rockingham County, and oftentimes, regretfully, they come in here, they being just some bystander or defendant in another case comes in here when they're supposed to be on another floor in another courtroom because they were mistaken. They were in this courtroom apparently over the last year or two because of COVID or other issues. But the only thing I've done is to have the sheriff, have anyone coming in to identify themselves and the purpose for being here, okay? State understand what I've done.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'm not trying to interfere with the state's ability to try the case. If you have a witness that needs to be here, just let them know that's going to happen. All right, Mr. Nelson, do you understand what I've done and the reasons why I've done it?
I just don't understand the identification aspect of this case. It revolves around the state agents forcing free people of the country to give identification.
Sure.
So that's to the heart of the matter in this case.
I've done it for courtrooms. It's a little bit different than your situation. We're here in the courtroom. I control the courtroom, and if I have someone that, when I ask them their name, that simply sets them off to be confrontational and agitating, and it looks like to me that they wanted to fight. That concerns me. I don't know if they're here to hurt somebody or not. And again, I'm going to ask, and that's why I've done what I've done for the protection and security of both the state and the defendant. I don't know why they're here, but I'm going to find out. And I'm stuck with their answer. I'm not gonna do any, I'm not at this point looking behind what they say, but I'm gonna take what they say. But that, Sheriff, you've been doing that since we opened at 2 o'clock, is that correct?
Correct.
You asked the civil attorneys that came in why they were coming, you did the same thing with everybody, is that correct?
That's correct.
So it applies to everybody, okay? You understand, Mr. Nelson?
I believe so, Judge. I would just respectfully request that order and the orders from this morning be put in written format so I can preserve those for appeal.
Sure, we're on the record, and you'll be given a copy of everything that I'm stating right now. We are on the record as we have been the entire time. And I've articulated the reasons why, and you'll get that on the record, okay?
Okay, thank you, Judge.
And I see absolutely no prejudice to the defendant from hearing that order whatsoever.
James Madison once said,
"Will it be sufficient to mark with precision the boundaries of these departments and the constitution of the government, and to trust to these parchment barriers against the encroaching spirit of power? This is the security which appears to have been principally relied on by the compilers of most of the American constitutions, but experience assures us that the efficacy of the provision has been greatly overrated, and that some more adequate defense is indispensably necessary for the more feeble against the more powerful members of the government. The legislative department is everywhere extending the sphere of its activity and drawing all power into its impetuous vortex."
how are those parchment barriers holding up? Thanks for watching. Deo presso, liber.